Rami Malek took home an Oscar for his role as Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody. While many praised his performance, some say it was more of a spot-on impression than a true character study. He's not the only one either. Here are 7 other award-winning performances that might have been a bit overhyped. 7. Rami Malek, Bohemian Rhapsody 2018. Malek won the Oscar for playing Freddie Mercury, and it seemed certain at the time. He changed his look with prosthetic teeth and studied Mercury's performances closely. The movie made almost $900 million worldwide. But the truth is, Malek's Mercury is all surface with nothing deeper underneath. He nails the stage presence, the Live Aid walk, Mercury's leading of the crowd, and those famous gestures. The concert scenes are impressive as mimicry, but as soon as the film goes backstage or tries to show Mercury's personal life, Malek only has the accent and those distracting fake teeth. The film is one of the most sanitized, formulaic music biopics ever made. It follows every predictable step: early struggles, rise to fame, band fights, personal fall, and redemption. Malek just goes through these familiar story points without adding depth or showing who Freddie Mercury really was. The movie's handling of Mercury's sexuality is especially dishonest, and Malek's performance doesn't challenge it. The film downplays Mercury's queerness and focuses on his relationship with Mary Austin. Scenes of Mercury in gay nightlife depict him falling into darkness. Malek plays what's written, treating Mercury's queerness as a tragic flaw instead of a key part of who he was. The prosthetic teeth got a lot of attention. Malek often talked about how they changed his performance. But in reality, they're very distracting. The audience always notices the fake teeth, which breaks the illusion. When you compare Malek to other actors who've played famous musicians, the difference in quality is clear. Jamie Foxx in Ray showed Ray Charles as a complex, flawed person. Joaquin Phoenix in Walk the Line made Johnny Cash feel real, not just iconic. Malek made Freddie Mercury look and sound right, but he didn't help the audience understand him or feel anything new about him. 6. Austin Butler, Elvis, 2022. Butler has a similar problem. His performance is a very polished Elvis impersonation, but it does not come across as a fully developed character. It feels more like a skilled imitation than a real, believable portrayal. Butler won a Golden Globe, got an Oscar nomination, and was at the center of awards talk for months because of his dedication to the role. He stayed in character for years, kept using the Elvis accent long after filming, and reportedly couldn't drop the voice even in his personal life. The entertainment industry praised this as the height of method acting, and critics called it one of the best musical biopic performances ever filmed. The issue is that what we see on screen is a very polished impersonation, not a fully developed character. Butler nailed the external details: the hip movements, the lip curl, the stage presence, and how Elvis moved. He clearly spent a lot of time studying and perfecting these physical traits. As mimicry, it's genuinely impressive. But mimicry is not the same as acting. The performance stays at the surface and never reaches real interpretation or emotional depth. The film moves quickly through different periods of Elvis's life, and in each one, Butler just copies how Elvis looked at that time. There's no clear psychological thread tying these versions together into a single person's story. The voice work especially hurts the dramatic scenes. Butler is so committed to Elvis's speaking voice that it becomes distracting. Even in moments meant to show Elvis's relationship with his mother or his frustration with Colonel Parker, Butler keeps using the same voice. Instead of helping the character, it starts to feel like a habit he can't break. Compare this to Joaquin Phoenix in Walk the Line. Phoenix showed Johnny Cash's key traits but didn't always try to sound exactly like him. This gave him space to really act in the quieter scenes. Butler's method doesn't give him that freedom. The awards campaign showed what Hollywood really values. The story focused on Butler's suffering and sacrifice, like staying in character for years and needing hospital care after filming. This tale of dedication became tied to how people judged his work. The Academy often rewards obvious physical changes over more subtle acting. What Butler did was genuinely hard and took real dedication, but just because something is hard doesn't mean it's great. Butler gave a high-end version of what Elvis impersonators do every night in Vegas. He looked and acted like Elvis on the outside, but neither the film nor his performance really explored who Elvis was inside. 5. Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer 2023. Cillian Murphy's performance in Oppenheimer is overrated because he plays the same haunted intensity for 3 hours, confusing steady brooding with real character growth. Murphy's win for Best Actor seemed certain since Oppenheimer was a huge cultural event. He played J. Robert Oppenheimer for many years and lost significant weight for the role. He definitely stands out on screen. But standing out and showing real depth are not the same thing. Murphy's whole approach is to play Oppenheimer as tortured and haunted from start to finish. Every scene has the same furrowed brow, intense eyes, and heavy mood. This fits some parts of the story, especially after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But Murphy keeps this same intensity even in early scenes when Oppenheimer is just an eager young physicist. There's no lightness, no change in tone, and no sense of who he was before guilt took over. The performance is very internal, but it doesn't always show anything clear. Murphy spends a lot of time staring, brooding in silence, and reacting as if he's deep in thought. Most of the time, it just comes across as generally troubled. The audience is told that Oppenheimer is smart and conflicted, but Murphy doesn't show the details of his feelings. Murphy stays at full intensity the whole time, so there's no room for the performance to build. When the film hits its most powerful moments, Murphy is still at the same brooding level he's kept for hours. There's nowhere to go because he started at the top. What's really missing is any sense of Oppenheimer as a full person with contradictions. In every scene, he's just the brilliant, tortured physicist. There's no humor, no joy, and no moments that show he loved teaching or got excited about ideas. Everything is filtered through a single serious note, turning Oppenheimer into a symbol rather than a real person. 4. Emma Stone, Poor Things. 2023. Emma Stone's performance in Poor Things is overrated because the Academy mixed up shock value and nudity with real depth and skill. Stone won her second Oscar for playing Bella Baxter, a woman brought back to life with an infant's brain who slowly grows intellectually and sexually. She is fully committed to nudity, explicit sex scenes, and childlike movements that are meant to mature. Critics called the performance fearless and transformative. But being fearless doesn't mean the performance is good. Stone focuses so much on quirky movements and shocking scenes that any real sense of character is lost. Bella is supposed to grow from a child's mind to an adult, but Stone plays her as cartoonish the whole time. In the early scenes, Stone acts like a toddler with jerky movements, mispronounced words, and awkward behavior. Even later, when Bella is supposed to have matured, Stone still acts in an exaggerated way, keeping the audience at a distance. You're always aware you're watching Emma Stone do something intentionally odd. The sexual content got a lot of attention. Stone called it empowering, but these scenes are uncomfortable because they show a character with a child's mind in explicit situations. Stone plays these moments with innocent excitement, treating sex as just another thing to try. The film wants this to feel freeing, but it mostly comes across as disturbing. The performance completely lacks emotional truth. Everything is exaggerated and over the top. Stone is always clearly acting in a way that stands out. Compare this to her work in The Favorite with the same director, where she made her character feel real, even with the stylized approach. Bella never feels real in the same way. Received boldness, nudity, strangeness, departure from previous roles, rather than actual craft. Stone did something shocking and different, which got interpreted as brave and Oscar-worthy. But shocking and different isn't the same as better or more skillful. 3. Margot Robbie, Barbie. 2023. A lot of people mixed up perfect casting with great acting in this case. The movie earned over $1 billion and was everywhere in 2023. When Robbie didn't get an Oscar nomination, many thought the Academy made a big mistake. But honestly, her performance, while competent and engaging, didn't demonstrate the exceptional depth or complexity often recognized with top awards. Robbie was everywhere in 2023 because of Barbie. The film made over $1.4 billion worldwide, and her lack of an Oscar nomination caused debate. But the truth is, her performance fits what the movie needs, but isn't especially strong acting. Robbie plays Barbie as always cheerful in the first half, then confused and searching during her crisis in the second half. She looks the part and handles the comedy well enough. But the role doesn't ask for much more than these surface traits. Barbie is more of an idea than a real character, and Robbie plays that idea well but doesn't add real depth. The big emotional moment comes when Barbie decides she wants to be human. Robbie plays these scenes with real effort, but they don't have much emotional impact because the film hasn't made Barbie a character the audience truly understands beyond being a living ideal. It's telling that several supporting roles in the same film are much more memorable. America Ferrera's speech about impossible standards was the most talked about moment. Ryan Gosling as Ken stands out because his character actually changes. Gosling finds real comedy, emotion, and growth. Robbie mostly reacts to what happens without showing the same kind of transformation. Another big issue is that the role didn't ask Robbie to do anything new. She's played similar characters before in The Wolf of Wall Street, I, Tonya, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Barbie doesn't push her into new territory. It's just a high-profile, very pink version of what she's already shown she can do. 2. Timothée Chalamet, Wonka, 2023. Timothée Chalamet's performance in Wonka is overrated because he brings a bland niceness to a role that really needs some weirdness and edge. Chalamet's young Willy Wonka was promoted as a charming role to show he could do more than serious drama. He sings, dances, and brings a lot of optimism to the part. But the performance is forgettable and misses the qualities that make Willy Wonka interesting. Chalamet plays Wonka with plain cheerfulness and no edge at all. This version is just a nice young man who wants to share chocolate and honor his late mother. There's nothing odd or unsettling about him, which is a problem because Willy Wonka is supposed to be strange and unpredictable. Gene Wilder's Wonka was unpredictable. You never knew if he was friendly or dangerous. Johnny Depp's version was odd and childlike, which made it uncomfortable in a different way. Both had a clear point of view. Chalamet's Wonka is just pleasant, like a Disney prince in a top hat. The musical numbers show Chalamet's limits. He sings well enough and does the dance moves, but nothing stands out or sticks with you. There's no star power or charisma in those scenes. What stands out most is that there's no sense of why Chalamet wanted to play this role. The whole project feels like a career move, to do a family musical and show wider appeal, but there's no artistic passion or clear point of view behind it. 1. Brendan Fraser, The Whale, 2022. Brendan Fraser's performance in The Whale is overrated because people conflated their feelings about his comeback with his acting. Fraser's return to Hollywood after years of personal struggles created a powerful narrative. He won the Oscar, received standing ovations at festivals, and people genuinely cried as he accepted awards. The problem is that much of that emotion stemmed from Fraser the person and his real-life redemption arc, not from the performance itself. The role demanded that Fraser spend hours daily in makeup, getting fitted into heavy prosthetics to play a 600-pound man dying of congestive heart failure. He had to alter his movement, his breathing, his entire physical presence. And Fraser does bring authentic emotion to certain moments, particularly scenes with his estranged daughter. But when you separate the prosthetics from the performance and the comeback narrative from what's actually happening on screen, what remains is one-note acting in service of a manipulative script. Charlie, Fraser's character, is written as a saint whose only flaw is compulsive eating. The whole film is designed to elicit our sympathy. Fraser plays this up by repeating the same big emotional moments. Lots of crying, heavy breathing to show pain, and speeches about honesty and beauty. It's a performance that tries hard to look like serious, Oscar-worthy acting. What's missing is any complexity or contradiction that would make Charlie feel real. Fraser plays him as only sympathetic from start to finish. There's no journey, change, or discovery. He feels sad and in pain at the start, and he feels the same at the end. The performance stays in the same place for 2 hours. Fraser's physical transformation played a big part in his award success. The Academy often rewards dramatic physical changes, but using a fat suit has become more controversial, especially when the film offers no real insight into obesity. The Whale treats Charlie's body as both a tragedy and a spectacle. The camera focuses on his size, other characters react with clear disgust, and the film links his weight to his suffering and shame. Fraser's performance doesn't question this view. He supports it. If you found this story interesting, the next video, The 7 Levels of Terrible Casting Explained, will surprise you even more. Check it out next.